Okay, so you've watched the video on walks, you've done a Monty walk, and you've also looked, I hope, at the technical video introducing this character Heavy. So now what we're going to do is to animate this character walking. So the first thing we want to do is check out the handout, nope, it's not the Monty double bounce walk. It is in fact the walk cycle shown here. That's the leisurely walk on a 16 frame cycle. And as we did with Monty, we're going to start with the right foot contact and end with the right foot contact. And then just the same, our halfway point will be frame 17. That will be the left foot contact, which will be a mirror image of 1 and 33. And this time we're going to use a slightly different method of working, which is to say, instead of animating Heavy actually walking across the screen and then using the world control to bring him back to the origin point, we're going to animate him walking on the spot, which is the other method of animating a walk cycle. So I'm just going to turn the grid on here so we can see that. So I'm going to go to show grid, make sure the grid is on. And actually what I might do, just close that out, is I might make the grid a little bit bigger. So I can change that by going to display options box, and then basically I can change that to 24. Let's see what happens if I do that. 24 units, or why don't we make it even bigger? Let's say 48. Let's make it nice and big. Apply and close. There we go. There's a nice big grid. And so what we want to do first of all is position Heavy in the right foot contact position. So there we go. There's his leg, and then I'm going to pull that one back, and it looks like our, let's see, actually I'm going to use the, I'm going to try it, there we go, pivot ball, that's the one I want in order to get a bend in that leg there. Good. Okay, I'm also just going to move that foot slightly over so it's slightly over the central line, and that one just slightly that way, so it's about the same amount over that line. Okay, so that is going, and actually we're going to set, it's a 32 frame walk, so we want to set our starting point to 1. We'll start at frame 1 or 101. Actually, let's start at 101. Let's be disciplined. That is how you should do it in a studio. 101 to 133, because we know it's going to be a 32 frame cycle. Okay, so and then the other thing we need to do is whenever we walk, our arms oppose our legs. So if the right foot is forward, then the left arm will be forward, and conversely, and I'm just going to set a key on that. You've got to set keys on all of these because Maya won't record a key unless you set it. So there's our right arm is back, and click S on that. Just make sure I've got keys set on all of these things, and also on the root control we want to make sure we've got keys set on everything. I'm going to make sure I've got select surface objects turned on, off that is, so that if I just go ahead and grab all of Heavy's keys and hit S at the beginning, I'll have a keyframe set on all of the main joints, all of the main controls. I'm also going to relax these fingers a bit, I think, because they're looking a bit stiff. So I'm just going to go ahead and relax that. Again, hit S. I'm going to do the same on that hand. Whoops. I just want to relax all of that so that it doesn't look quite so stiff, and hit S. Okay. And now that I've done that, I can go ahead and middle mouse drag all of those controls to frame 133 because it's going to be the same at the end of the shot as it is at the beginning. So I can go ahead and hit S for 133. Now if I press play, nothing's going to be happening because we haven't done any animation yet. Remember, unlike with the Monty Walk where you had Monty take 2 steps across the screen, on this one we're just going to animate heavy on the spot. It's the second method of animating a walk. Both are perfectly acceptable ways of doing a walk cycle. Okay, so now I'm going to go to frame 117 and I'm going to do the mirror image position. So I'm going to take that X rotation and 0 it, and then I'm going to add that pivot ball, move that back to there. It should be the mirror image of what we've just done. So I'm going to pull that foot forward, take out the pivot ball, 0 it, and rotate that foot up. Okay, so now we should have, if I press play, the character should kind of slide forward like that. Okay, not beautiful animation yet, but we're getting the essence of the walk cycle. Now, again at 117, I want to animate that arm going forward because remember the arms are opposing the legs. So I'm going to go to set, and then there on the arm on the other side, I'm going to pull that arm backwards because that's going to oppose the legs as well. So if I hit set on that, now if I press play, I've got heavy kind of walking along. Now I can see already that this arm on the left hand side, whoops, you've got to be careful selecting this stuff. That's why these left shoulder, that's what I want. These things can be it's easy to select the wrong thing. Okay, good. So we've now got our major positions figured out. Now the next thing, if I go back to our image, we've done now 1, 17 and 33. So the next thing we want to do is put in the passing position at frame 9 and also frame 25. So I'm going to go to frame 9 and passing position, that means I'm going to be pulling the body up a bit because he's going to be rising up in the air slightly, and also at 125 he's going to be rising up a bit. And it looks like I didn't set that value properly at 117, so I need to middle mouse drag the value at frame 1 or 101 over to 117, and then I should get the up and down motion. So there we go. So now the body's going up and down, that's what we want. And then here at 109, that's the passing position. So that means, let's just check our guide again. So the right foot is taking the weight and the left foot is passing. So left foot is going to be passing like that. And the right foot should be flat on the ground. So we want that to be, rotate X to be 0. Whoops, wrong foot. This is where it's so important to have the right thing selected. Right foot, rotate X back to 0, so it's flat on the ground. And it should be at 0 on translate Y as well. So that we're getting a, there we go. And it should be at 0 at translate Y there as well. How's that got to? There we go. Okay, so that's all right. Good. And now let's do the same for 125. Here at 125, let's go back to our thumbnails. So his left leg is going to be bearing the weight and the right leg is going to be passing. So if we go to 125, and that means that right leg is going to be up in the air. The rotation is going to be that way. It's not going to be quite that high in the air though. And the left foot should be flat on the ground, so I need to change that rotate X. And I need a bit of pivot. there. Not quite that much. Okay. Okay, so let's have a look at that. Let's just press play. Okay, so we've got some something going there. It's not very good yet. But that is our basic. That is our basic walk, kind of. Obviously, there are a lot of problems here. One of them is that he's got no rotation on his body. So here, actually, what we want to do is at frame 1, we want to take that chest control and rotate it so that he is rotating against his leg. So I'm going to hit S there, then I'm going to middle mouse drag that value over to 133, and then at 117 I'm going to reverse that. And then what we really should be doing, and it's actually rather shocking that I haven't been doing, is checking it in the graph editor. So if I go to Window, Saved Layouts, Animation, I'm going to go to my multi-view where I've got the perspective view here, the graph editor down here, and my panels orthographic side view here. I do want to display the heads-up display. I do want to display the view cube. The view cube is useful, so I'm just going to turn it on here, and that's going to allow me to move him round. Come on. So that I'm viewing heavy from the right-hand side. I personally like animating walks from left to right because that's the way we write, and therefore it helps to, I think, to animate from left to right as well. It's intuitively the right way to do it. Okay, so that's the basic essence of the walk. Now you'll notice with this method of walking that this business of animating on the spot, we've got to be very careful about what the feet are doing, because especially the translate Z, because these feet need to be traveling at a constant rate underneath the body. So this curve here is actually wrong. I'm going to have to break this tangent here. No, where do I break tangents? Not there, not there, not there, not there. Plateau tangents. Okay, if I go to tangents, break, there we go. And I'm going to have to make that, I need to go to the move tool and make that flat so that that motion of the foot going backwards is entirely even. We can slow into this section as it comes forward, but the motion along the ground should be completely flat. Right, and now that we've done that, what we want to do next is go back and put in the other main positions. So if we go back to our thumbnails, we're going to have down on the squash and then up on 13. So that's down at 5, up at 13, down at 21, up at 29. So those are the next positions to put in. Now, remember that I'm just going to hit the spacebar there to make that one nice and big. Between 1 and 105, both feet have to be flat on the ground. So this foot here, we want to zero out the X rotation, and we probably don't want any pivot at this point. So I'm just going to flatten that. So there we go. So that foot should be now flat on the ground. In translate Y as well, should be flat. And this foot here should not yet be traveling forward. So the left foot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take its value for 101 and now middle mouse drag that to 105 and hit S. So actually no, that's not going to work, is it? Because it actually needs to be going backwards. Yeah, so this foot, this is where it gets tricky. That foot there needs to actually be traveling backwards, so that we're going to have to pivot that some more. So we're just going to have to kind of eyeball this, because for that bit of the walk, both feet should be traveling backwards in Z. I'll come back and clean that up later. Now let's go to 113. Oh, also the other thing is we want his body to come down at frame 5. So between 101 and 105, body is going down. Let's hit the spacebar. Let's check that. Let's check the translate Y in the graph editor. Yeah, that needs to go down. Spacebar again. And so body going down there, and then at 113 the body wants to be going up again and coming down at 117, and then at 121 that's another squash position. Remember, that's the squash there at 121. That's our low position, so we want to put that in even lower than it was at 117. And then at 125 we're in the passing, and then at 129 that's our high position again. So we want to pull him up at 129. Hit S, hit spacebar. Let's take another look at that. Hit A to take another look at that curve. And let's just make sure that what I'm going to do is pull it up slightly, middle mouse drag, hit S. So we get what we should be getting is a nice even up and down motion on this walk. Okay. So we're starting to get there. That's the basics of the walk kind of blocked out, with the main all the main positions roughed in. And what I'll do is I'll stop there, and then we'll clean this up in the next video. Go in and start to make this look a bit more a bit smoother and a bit more convincing.